going, everyone? Laser beams in the back. Let's get those in chat as well if you like. Welcome back to the show. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. HEX Power Hour, baby. HEX Power. I was just chatting up in the green room a little bit. I think I really do get more motivated. I don't know what I'm going to do, if and when we see another 10,000X, because I'm pretty used to the bear or just getting punched in the face, metaphorically speaking. I'm pretty used to that. And I'm way, way too motivated and satisfied with just keep pushing out the content and make sure our community has answers to relevant questions and has some reasons to keep on believing. Don't you sell your bags too early. We can do that. We can do that whole riff. We'll do it. We'll do it live. Anyways, we'll chat just a minute. Welcome back to the show for the nth time. Zenith and Crispy Man. How's it going, gents?
Always a pleasure, good sir. Happy to be here.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Red Squirrel's back as well. He's
even when you invite Red Squirrel, pleasure to be.
I mean, he's I'm gonna drop that StreamYard link. Red Squirrel, if you ever want to hop on, I don't know if he's ever taken the bait yet. But boy, he probably talks some good hex stuff, I imagine.
True. There's also there's another streamer in your chat here. We got Crypty Girl as well. Shout out to her.
Crypty Girl.
I think I had the pleasure of streaming with her during the HEX conference. So look at that. HEX Power Hour, HEX people. Let's go.
Boom. We got him here. We got a lot of great people in the chat. Got Yaveen, always in the comments, always in the chat, showing a lot of support. Appreciate you, man. Over
Yaveen.
Yeah. And Hex Wizard 369. Every time I see a 369, a 555, a 10,000 in a username, I appreciate that. I like that. I like it very much. Pretty good. Hey, from the Netherlands. Shout out to the Netherlands. Great country. Do enjoy visiting there. Hope to be there again sometime. A lot of cool stuff. Over there. There we go. DJ and Hexing just in time. 5555369. We like that numerology in the Hexaco, right?
Who's got that phone number?
Man, there's got to be some license plates, some phone numbers, some birthdays. Somebody's got to be born on. Do we have any Hexagon that's born 5/5/55? Going on about 70, 80 years old. But that. Or new Hexagons born in the new millennia in the 55th year when Hex is already taken over the world and dominated and went through about 17 bull cycles. That'd be cool.
Very true.
Gents, what's good? Why are you here? Why do you I was thinking about this before the show. Why is it that we still are willing to get on a live stream and talk about the greatest coin on earth? What keeps you motivated during these times of poopy town? Whoever wants to take first.
I'm still always up in the air about which side of the crypto investor IQ bell curve I keep falling on. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the high IQ side. Other times I'm like, you know what? We're going to diamond hand this bitch to the dirt. Let's go.
It does make you question, like, am I doing it really well or not well at all? It does come up sometimes.
Ride or die.
Yeah.
But even outside of that, though, like I just got finished making the thumbnail for the Walk the Block episode tonight, and it was a war room saying code red on a giant screen with a bunch of charts and stuff going on, and it's like that's kind of what's going on in the world right now. There are ways that it all flows downhill and eventually does end up in our ecosystem too. But at the same time, I think right now the world is kind of on fire when it comes to all of the tariffs news. And that's largely been the thing that's just dominating the news cycle right now. So much so that even just like a lot of the base crypto news is actually going by the wayside. So it's kind of crazy to think that even though the S&P 500 has tanked like 12% over the last like 3 days it's been open on the markets.
What happened?
The crypto. Yeah. Red candles for TradFi, and they're not happy about it because like a 1% drop for them is catastrophic. A 12% drop is almost unheard of. Those are like probably like once or twice a decade kind of events going on. But that's what's going on over there. Crypto markets, though, are actually holding up pretty well comparatively, which is a real interesting part for me. And it's one of those things that gets me going again on are people actually seeing Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as an alternative store of value, or is it still just a risk on asset? And I mean, when it comes to HEX, which is really the delayed gratification king, if you're really going for that store of value narrative, then I'm not gonna lie, HEX is looking better than ever, even in the downtimes.
Yeah, I was thinking about this today too. Well, of course, who wouldn't be thinking about everything that's going on?
Life choices.
Yeah, and yeah. Hello, welcome to Costco. Hey, listen, I'll tell you what I was thinking about is like, what actions did I take during all of this? Pre-warning, during the event, and after? None. No. So that kind of puts me on the same scale with you. I don't know where I am on the IQ scale. I'm really, really low or really, really high. I'm not sure which. Yeah.
It's easy to feel stupid when the prices are down. Like, don't let that get to you. Just
yeah. Well, it's a little tongue in cheek, but listen, I mean, yes, I know the prices are depressed; they go down. TradFi is a little different than crypto, but we know that dips are in the game, right? And if every time you see a dip, you freak out, you're gonna have a really tough time with crypto. It's not for you. It's not, at least not now, because not unless you're going to be in stable tokens, which, by the way, I can provide you some really good advice, anybody out there, on stable tokens and how to make money with stables.
I mean, as long as it's not financial advice, because we would be remiss if we dared give that here, right?
Yeah, we never give out financial advice, but what I can do is just point out what does work. And so it's kind of like the not fun part of stuff, right? Because I like to dream, and that's kind of the answer, really, going back to what you asked, Max. Why am I still here? I still dare to dream that this is the path, the opportunity. Specifically HEX.
I'm with you. I mean, it's more, I mean, there's a dream aspect of it, which is, I don't know, it just feels like the right thing to do. I literally had a tweet on this the other day, and I was like, does it ever feel like, promoting HEX, above the other coins is the right, and it just feels like this is the ideals. This is the coin, this is the community that I want to win. So what else is there to do but keep going and doing everything I can to make sure that happens? Like,
yeah, it's going to be hard too, because there's 99 projects, and HEX ain't one of them that you're going to talk about. You know what I mean? Yeah, you personally, but look about our blockchain, what's going on. Yeah, ain't a whole lot of people picking up the whole old HEX signal and saying, let's go ahead and do this. We should get into HEX. Now, I say that, but the numbers do show things differently, but I'm not really sure what the numbers mean. Like, for instance, I'll share it out with you so you can see it. Holders continue to go up. The number of wallets holding continue to go up. And penalties not really happening, Stakers down, so somebody's accumulating, somebody's got the idea that something's going on. And so this is just wallet addresses, guys, right? Because we don't know who owns the wallets, but does that look like a dump to you? Does that look like people getting out? No, it looks like more wallets accumulating HEX. Now, some of that just happens because people create a number of new wallets, but just in general, you can kind of count the wallet addresses, and you can see we're going up and to the right. Typically, you see this when people are speculating. That's part of my kind of like idea behind what's going on. You see people speculating, and because they're speculating, hey, now's the time to buy the blood, right? So you go get the HEX and you hold it, and I'm fully aware that the plan is to sell this at the high, right? Whatever they're accumulating in these wallets, whatever they think the high is. But this is what fuels crypto, right? Speculation. As much as we would like to pretend that's not what does it, that's what does it, right? These folks are coming in and they're saying, hey, if I can get in now, I might get that 1,000x. $1,000 is $1 million, right? That'll bring anybody home, right? At the same time, though, other than seeing the OA stakes, which this huge up arrow here for HEX staker adoption, which is in green, down, just trending down. And so it's really difficult to be talking to people about HEX staking and about why they should do that long term, particularly with the reward level that's out there. And so now it's like this. It's like we thought that HEX was a litmus test before. It's like really out there now. Like, you got to believe not only in Richard to stake, right? Because let's call it what it is. You got to believe in Richard and what he created. You also have to believe the price will go up. which is a different kind of animal than the people that are going to go ahead and just hold liquid, you know. And when we see the wallets going up, but we see adoption going down. And then I know a lot of people talk about penalties, but penalties are like meh, normal, trending upwards slowly. 4 to 5 million a day on average, nothing going on there. And even the emergency end stakes, which is by the way, that's a great speculative narrative. We can make up a fictional story all about that and kind of go through it. But we're just not seeing people capitulate their stakes. And so what does that all mean? We got this core of believers. They ain't going away, at least not yet. Maybe they go away at 50 cents or at $1. I don't know, but I'm not emergency end staking. I know other people aren't. I'm not seeing it on the charts.
Definitely not. Hey, Crispy, can you go back to the last chart you had, the stakers?
No, that was a one moment thing. I can't show it to you again.
So I know towards the tail end of the staker chart there, we have what appears to be a 45-degree downward angle. But at the same time, for the folks at home, look at the scale on the left. This is the difference between 126,000 stakers or 125,000 stakers.
Oh, yeah.
Overall, overall, that's less than a 1% decrease.
So it's 126 here and 125,000. Yeah. I didn't create it to be exciting, but it's just how it renders on the screen. You're absolutely right. It's just 1,000.
Exactly. So that might look drastic, but the reality of the situation is that it's still well above where it's been in the past. Like, aside from the giant spike there, was that the OA staking is what caused the?
Yeah, that's the big spike there. Anybody carrying on. But I would point out you're probably right to point out the scaling on this. If I do put it on log, it looks kind of more like a flat line, anyways. But what we are seeing is something like 50% of the T-shares that are coming out every day, people are not restaking them in one way, shape, or another. And so it is translating into a real, even though it'll be slow with all the OA T-shares, a slow decline in the number of T-shares. And it's only going to it'll get worse over time, over the next 3-4 years, because people just aren't going to have the HEX in order to create new T-shares. It's very positive. I mean, from a HEX dynamics, I have a staking ladder. It's great for me, right? Because other people can't come in and create new T-shares. So I'll get my portion of the 1.8 HEX per T-share. It'll go up a little higher, but
Exactly. The game stays the same. The moves that people are making, they're slightly different now that we live in the post OA staking world. But overall, the game on the ground has not changed. The rules are still the same. So if you had good principles before, not much has changed.
No, well, yeah, that is true. I have to concur with you. I think what has changed really specifically, right, is of course the reward level changes. It changes what people get rewarded. It doesn't necessarily change what was going to happen to you, during that period. Meaning, old stakes were getting a much higher APR, because they had higher T-shares, the rates were higher. And so all those dynamics relatively are the same. But it definitely one piece of it though is skewed to those who already have ladders or those that create new staking ladders. I believe are going to be the winners in the game of HEX, which is get as much HEX in units as you can.
That's a good comment from Yellowtail. You can go back already staked for a few months, not years. What is the ability for the OA to change monetary policy back to staking yield go up? Like, does it need emergency end stake? What kind of timeline are we looking at for the shorter ones coming off the books and it going back up if not restaked?
I don't really think the time frame matters a whole lot for the stakes that have been made. So this starts getting into this idea that the OA could begin to do emergency end stakes. And listen, it is definitely one of the game theories that have been out there from the beginning, right? That the OA could make big stakes, other players could make big stakes, and they could reward the other holders by emergency end staking. So I would preface it to say, that it's really important for us to realize we don't have no idea what the OA is going to do. Right. So no idea. Not saying this will happen. Right. Not saying it'll happen. But in the world where the OA wanted to create a additional reward, right, and increase the rate of payouts as well as reward the people who have been in. I mean, we got a lot of protocols that say they do this, right? So I mean, it's not like new news. Hey, listen, hold my token, and we're going to give you even more, right? So hold it, and we're going to give you even more. So what would that look like? Well, the way the setup is this. First off, everyone knows that if you end early, you get penalized, right? So yes, right? Everyone should know who's involved that the OA gets half the penalties. But wait, there's more. The OA also owns 90% of the T-shares. So roughly what it looks like is and it would have to depend on the stake and the timing and everything. Roughly an emergency end stake looks like the stake ends, the T-shares go away, 5% of the penalties get rewarded out to the remaining existing holders, the non-OA holders, and then the OA has another pile of HEX to stick. So there, we may be seeing something new, but I don't know that it's real, right? No one's ever told me he's going to do it, or the OA is going to do it. But perhaps the OA starts paying stakers back by emergency end staking, restaking, emergency end staking, restaking, emergency end staking, restaking, and how that, and going right to the point about the rewards. If emergency end stakes like that are done and the T-shares come down, you have the primary effect that all the payouts for all the remaining T-shares go up, right? You have a secondary effect that there is some HEX that would come out that would be penalized, that would have been inflation HEX, newly minted HEX, and that HEX would increase the payout rate as well. So essentially, we have a flywheel possibility where the OA could, on some schedule, just continually stake, emergency end stake, stake, and emergency end stake, and payouts would go up per T-shirt.
It sounds like that's one of the possibilities of, and if you think about, benevolent whales, people who want to see the system succeed, whales who want to, just make it, again, there's all these tools in the system. There's how the code is written. It's how it works. And then there's all these edge cases of, okay, it's decentralized, but there's also, big players in the system can have influence and stuff like that. Do you think it would be, so one idea is, in staking, restaking, all that. Would that, I guess, what is the action of, you think, a benevolent whale over time would make if you see the monetary policy change now, yield goes down, staking narrative is much harder to sell than it was before. And then if the knob turned the other direction, does it make sense, I guess? Like, would it make sense that eventually it would change back in a year or two, or when price goes up so far? Okay, now time, HEX is at 50 cents. All right, now time to turn the yield back on, get people interested in staking again. Like, what is the narrative there for something good for the system?
Yeah,
Chris,
so
you
want to,
I'm thinking about that one. Sorry.
Yeah. I think there could be strong positives and some strong negatives to that narrative. So first, on the positive, right, it would show the flexibility of the OA and the ability to kind of like dial in the system to what's optimum, right? So that would be very positive, right? Positive action. Certainly, people might get excited, and because again, remember, if you're not in the staking at all, you're not getting any of those rewards, right? So you're left out of the whole game, right? So it could instigate, people wanting to stake in order to get those types of rewards. But it is a shift in narrative, from, hey, this is immutable, it's decentralized. The con is that we, initially some people would be like, oh, this is BS, man. The OA, I thought this was supposed to be immutable, blah, 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 decentralized. So you're telling me one entity controls it all, and can just do what they want. And so I've already heard that argument a couple times from people. But maybe that creates a shift in our understanding of the system. It's only 5 years old. And so maybe the OA pulling levers and doing that type of thing was always the intent and is the plan to dial it in.
It's crazy to think that 5 years old is still very young in this game, considering we haven't even seen the first Quattro Cinco stakes actually mature at this point. But what I'm seeing right now is that I alluded to a little bit earlier, we are at the post OA stake point, which is that is the new reality, and that appears to be the situation on the ground. Until I get confirmation that is going to change, I'm going to assume that it's going to keep happening. So that's the base case that I'm working off of here.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge thing when it happened. Oh, okay, these things. There's always a possibility, but I don't know. To me, I've never surprised by. Maybe I just have very, very, very good at not having any expectations. But all these things are like, oh, this is interesting. We talk about it. But to me, I always knew. I mean, there are whales. There's OA. There's people who can have influence over the system. But I always thought, it would be if the levers were pulled in whatever way, it will be for the good of the system. Of course, that's going to impact people differently based on their positions and staking and all that stuff too. But I can't help but think that these changes, whether they happen again soon or whether they happen again in the years coming and whatever happens with the stakes and otherwise, that it is, again, part of like some plan or some strategy or some ability to cultivate, good things happening in the ecosystem. So I don't know. I guess I'm comfortable with some of the, to me, it's always part of the game. I knew there's always some players are going to have big influence, and whether they use it or not, it didn't really matter to me because I always assumed it would be used for being a force for good type of deal. Again, I know it's hard to see if you've been negatively affected by it, but I don't know. I feel like bags go down, bags go up. Staking is easier to sell. Staking is harder to sell. To me, it's just, hey, it's all part of the game. And like you said, I think the biggest, most interesting thing from this that Crispy talked about too was I wonder if the narrative for staking is, okay, obviously hard to get yield unless you have like a ton of HEX. And then I made a post the other day about like, oh, if you have this much and it goes to $1, then, the yield's going to be great, even if it's 1 or 2%, over 1 year or whatever it is. But the factoring in that, okay, the yield, again, you can call that cherry on top or not. The price appreciation, what people look forward to as well. And then also if you think there may be emerging stakes in the future from big players in the system, that kind of reward, pretty tempting too. And that could even make up for the lack of like, native yield coming from the system if there is some, emerging stakes. So if that happened, again, I would not be surprised. If it never happens, I wouldn't be surprised either. But I think that's maybe something to factor into.
Yeah, I think we're prepared for everything. I mean, listen, it's not all terrible, right? I mean, the thing is, this is going to take place over the next 10 years, right? 15 years. HEX has a 15-year cycle, right? By definition, it has a cycle. And it's superimposed over whatever else is happening, but it has a cycle. And so a lot of these things that I want resolved right now are not going to be resolved right now. It's going to take years, right? It's going to take 4 more years to get to 9 years, right? Be 3 more years, well, 7.5, 2.5 years, maybe 2.5 years, just to the point where the Quattro Cinco stakers originals can begin to emerge the end stake and get some semblance of value out. So it's going to be rocky for sure, but here's the thing is, this is what crypto does with people. I show you the charts about the holders and the speculation. Everybody's speculating on all these tokens out there. I mean, that's nothing new, right? So it's not like abnormal behavior that people do that. So if they're all speculating on HEX, that's actually pretty good for HEX stakers. Because it will drive the price up, and it kind of goes all the way back to like, what is the use case for HEX staking in the first place? Sure, I mean, you want to think about HEX, is the use case was 10,000x. Okay, great, got that, right? Check that box, right? Let's go back to 10,000x, right? But But beyond that, it is to have a no trade methodology where you get some value back from locking up. You're participating in the community. They're spreading that value because you're really lending your value to the traders, as Professor Black had said. You're really lending value to the market while you're waiting until your stakes come up. And so what's the proper use case for HEX? Create a ladder. When your ladder rungs come out, you scrape, restake. That's the proper use case. And so perhaps that's where we're headed.
Yeah. I mean, the core functionality is still there, which is that I know before the OA staking, it was advertised as 36.9% annual return effectively. Since we had the OA staking, it's dropped by about a factor of 5. So now we're sitting around 7% for the annual rate. And I think got my stats pulled up here. T-share rate on the daily is
what's a new Quattro? What's a new
1.56? Yeah, 1.56 hex per T-share.
Yeah. But the new Quattro Cinco rate is running what percentage? Do you happen to know offhand?
It should be a multiple of 3. If that's the case, then it should be somewhere around like 4.5 hex per T-share. So, I mean, the rate's down, but the reason the rate is down...
You mean for hex for T-share. I was thinking about APR. I was just thinking, what is the APR for new Quattro Cinco? I don't know.
Is it 4 to 6%, somewhere through there?
But I guess we could figure it out, right? Because you just said the number, right? So 4 hex per day for Quattro Cinco for 1 T-share, right?
About so 4.5.
Yeah, so 4 times 365 is 1460, and for 1 T-share, right? And if it's a Quattro Cinco T-share, then you would have paid what? Let's divide it. I'll divide it first by just 40,000, real gross number, right? So are we running? It can't be that high. It can't be 10%. So I got to do real numbers on it. But we're running sub 10% for Quattro Cinco. But let's just assume like a Quattro Cinco over the entire time span you could count on 10%, right? You cut it in half. So for an average ladder, max about 5%, 4 to 5% for an average kind of a ladder that you might put together, you would be paying. And so you can actually set up a ladder over 15 years to pay you 5%, which is roughly, right? Which is pretty decent. It's pretty decent, right? I mean, there are a lot of places I can't get 5%, right now out in TradFi. So it's pretty decent. Now, the big twist on that, of course, is price appreciation. Right? Because 5% right now doesn't feel great, but 5% of double the price, 10 times the price, 50 cents, all of a sudden that's really good.
You have a great prompt for me to go to hexcalc.net because they got some great data.
If you want to pull it up, we can look at it and see what it shows.
Yeah, I mean, I did tweet the other day. What did I do? Was it 1 million? I think I did 2 million. Let's do 1 million. And then just for 365 and price prediction, $1. Why not? Let's go for it. Let's go to the dollars. Let's see what the dollars look like. And yeah, so it costs what, 4K? Yeah, around 4,000 currently for 1 million, and then gets you around 29, 30 T-shares. But yeah, so 4K, again, if it does the amazing price performance we like to do, count your hexes in dollars, which is what everybody wants to do, right? When I can't 1 hex $1, that'd be great. $1 million from 4K. And the whole point of that, other than showing the amazing things that can happen if price go up very, very well, is the yield. All of a sudden, the yield becomes much more interesting. It goes from, under $100 or around 100 or so to 16,000. And now that 1%, or what is it? What did it say? You're getting... Where's the percentage? Oh, yeah, 1.67. 1.67% becomes much more interesting because you're thinking of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars instead of, tens or $100. And go ahead.
What's a Quattro Cinco do? Oh, yeah, good. You're thinking like
read my mind. There we go. So to answer the question, boom. ROI. That's
it's about 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, 200% ROI.
Yeah. So pretty good, pretty good. You almost basically almost double your stack. Pretty good. Pretty good there.
All right, so yeah, I had the factor wrong by 2, and so that Quattro Cinco is 5.45% at the moment, based on the information we have, and so you can cut that in half. So you're looking at probably 2.5 to 3% for an average ladder.
So pretty good.
Not as competitive, but as what I was saying, 5%. But still, I mean, it's a small percentage. It's not meant to be the moneymaker. The moneymaker is buying HEX really cheap at the moment, and being able to speculate that the price of HEX will go to 50 cents, $1 or $2, right? Which I fully believe it can, even in the circumstances that we're in now, right? Because it's not a function of the amount of HEX that exists in the world for the price to go up. It's a function of the amount of HEX that's in the liquidity pools, right? Going down is definitely affected by both what's in the liquidity pool and what people might sell.
So post from Persology too. HEX is always much better narrative because they actually get there. There's only about 1.2 million, 232 million HEX worth in the main pool. So low liquidity, only $1 million worth of liquidity for it. That just sounds crazy when I think about, and in the main pool, there's more here and there and stuff, but having $1 million liquidity for HEX, it's been a long time since that was normal.
Yeah, I think it's off a little bit, but yeah, Bruce was right.
Even double it. Let's say 2 million. Even if we go that, it's like that's what does it take for number to go up if people buy thing? Like it gets pretty interesting.
You're gonna make me go look because I can't just accept that.
Make your dreams come true. Let's do it.
Make the dream come true. Maybe it has come down that low. I don't know. I'm gonna pull up the value web real quick and just look. So
I'm looking over at gopulse.com. This one's saying we got about $2.4 million in liquidity right now. Looking over at the PulseX farm for HEX Pulse, we got about 2.3 million in liquidity there. Switching over to 9 mil, we got another like 600K over there. So based on that, it seems like PulseX is still the primary point for this pool. And outside of that, I mean, yeah, we're looking at effectively 2.4 million for liquidity.
Need that liquidity chart. Maybe this is 2 days old, so maybe it went down real quick, or it's just an estimate of one of the major pools. We'll say that.
Briss is usually right about everything, so I don't.
He appreciates that.
Yeah.
Something I want to hit on real quick too, and just replace PulseChain with HEX, and it still works the same. Just on sentiment real quick.
I'm not sharing my screen.
Oh yeah, I got it. If you want to pull it up. Yeah, we'll do this, and then we'll come back to another piece. PulseChain value web. Take us on the journey.
Oh, you brought mine up. Oh, okay. I wasn't even watching.
Yeah,
I was just taking a look real quick at what we had for liquidity. No, it's cool. But just looking to see, what's the value? I don't know. But just looking at the different liquidity pools that are pulling up at 500,000 or more, looks million on V2 Pulse. HEX doesn't really count the value, but 673K. Helgo again doesn't necessarily count the value, but 1.9 million, it's almost 2 million. So yeah. So Briss was right. This doesn't count. And probably the V3s are single-sided for taking profit. But yeah, so Briss is about right. Maybe about 1 million. Maybe about 1 million. Which is pretty crazy, guys, right? That's kind of a crazy number. That's a very low number.
It's true. I think it might be important to take a step back and just try to understand why things are going on the way they are right now. So if we remember back to the OA staking event, Richard Hart tweeted publicly about how he was trying to cut T-share payout for the people that have very large rolling stakes as an attempt to just keep some sort of minimum cash flowing asset going. What that did, it was increasing sell pressure on that. Did he actually say that? I believe, pretty sure it was in a tweet, which was pretty sure he had a tweet talking about how these people. saying that people are always dumping on you. So if you remove the sell pressure and then you also remove liquidity at the same time, what that means is less people are receiving more HEX to sell through the pools, which will drop the prices. This was step one of the process. Step two was also reducing liquidity by incentivizing people to pull liquidity out of the PulseX farms. That's when we had the incentive token emissions rate cut largely. I want to say it used to be 1 incentive token per second. It's saying 0.03 incentive token per second right now. So that is a 97% decrease in incentive token emissions. So what this is doing is this trying to reduce the availability of people to sell HEX that have those recurring stakes as a generating event. And then also at the same time, trying to shrink the pool, because remember, price is a function of liquidity, not a function of market cap per se. So it's easier to pump the price through lower liquidity pools, but also conversely, at the same time, it can also go the opposite direction if people get spooked out of it. And then the people that were not the initial ones selling with the rolling, turning over stakes like every 30, 45, 60 days, whatever it was, then that is a possible downside. But the bullish scenario here is lower liquidity means easier price appreciation. We've had a lot of good news events lining up until this point. Unfortunately, I think one of the unfortunate factors of how PulseChain was made is that we are still largely tied to the price of Ethereum just through liquidity pairing and the fact that it is a copy of Ethereum. So unfortunately, I do believe that Ethereum performing so poorly has also been leading to why PulseChain is performing so poorly. But at the same time, PulseChain and HEX does have the ability to pump independently, as we have seen multiple times throughout, even since just the launch of PulseChain. So the case here is that everything should be ramping up towards the end of the year when it comes to the crypto markets. There's a lot of other macro effects that could help play that scenario out, whether it's Jerome Powell over at the Fed going from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. But at the same time, I don't think it's wise to bet on or rely, on what Jerome Powell is going to do over there. But inside of the crypto space, we have the ability to pump independently. We're having more factors line up to allow for that to happen. So I do think the possibility of that happening is still very high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, the price. So what we just looked at with HEX, right? $1 million, 4x is the price, right? Is that how?
Are you gonna make us pull up Pampy here in a minute? You're gonna trigger it.
No, I guess maybe it's 16x is the price. I don't know. The point is, it's so thin, right? And this is where we as individuals might have an effect, right? I don't know how big of an effect, but the more HEX we hoard, and of course stake, aka get into a ladder, takes it off the market now, which makes that a bigger opportunity. Now, of course, the JITs are still going to sell when price goes up, right? So you're always going to have that pressure, but it's going to be the timing of the JITs, right? And when that happens, or when they sense it's over, that's what they sell. But that's the big washout game, anyways. That's why I say it's a longer thing than just next cycle or a couple of years. But yeah, I mean, there's really, in my head, right, there's no reason HEX can't get back up to all-time high or to $1 or even higher. And the greedy bastards that we are, sorry, everybody pointing the finger at myself, I'll be sitting there at 50 cents going, I'm not selling at 50 cents. I'm waiting for $1. But I'm not alone. I mean, there's a lot of people going to do similar stuff. And like the really smart guys would have been the ones, hey, it just got to 12 cents. I'm out. Right. And then the rest of us will continue to ride the roller coaster,
Yeah, Crispy's over there at his house reenacting the scene from Wolf of Wall Street where he says, I'm not freaking leaving. I'm not leaving.
No, motherfucker, seller.
Not selling.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sentiment, I think it's so, I try so hard to remind myself that, again, just this tweet, replace PulseChain with HEX. It works the same way. Do you now know PulseChain is going to be fine? Every criticism in some way comes from the prices being down. Obviously, important detail, but there's so many other things to the chain. Like PulseChain launched, it's working. You can criticize it here and there, but the community, like the product, the ideals that we're fighting for, and the price, they're all tied together. But the price has just been down, so the whole sentiment, it colors everything. It colors.
Oh, it does, yeah.
What people build here. It colors what games people play here. It colors how much capital they deploy, like how comfortable they are in different ways. It has a huge effect. And obviously it's one of the most important things, if not the most important thing to a lot of people in the community. But realize that is what a lot of the negativity comes from. That is what a lot of the price action or lack thereof, that's where a lot of the whole, again, the red, red light therapy that's happening across the board in the macros, but also in our community in so many different verticals. Like that's where it's coming from. So if you feel stuck, you're just like, I don't know, like why is things seem so bad? Remember, red candle syndrome is a real thing. What happens if it turns green? Everyone's gonna be like, crispy, even at 50 cents. If we go back 50 cents and break all-time highs, do you think you or anyone else, anyone who's been here for a while, anyone new, is going to be like, oh, I don't know, I should sell? Or they're going to be like, well, let's go to $1, baby, let's get to $1 like that.
Hey, listen, I didn't sell at 40 cents, so I mean, how ridiculous is that, right? So yeah, I think this is why it's important for people to kind of disengage a moment and get a plan together, what they're thinking about and what their goals are, because and use us as examples. A lot of the people, right? Sure, there's some people that sounded pessimistic at the time and they were like, oh, this can't go on forever. Make sure you take profits, blah, blah, blah. But most people were sitting there at 40 cents, 50 cents, waiting to go to $1. That would be my interpretation. Or something like that, like it was going to go higher, right? And so having a plan for what you need that's going to last a lifetime, right? Like what is your plan over time? Get your buckets lined up, figure out what you need to do, and then you don't have to be the G. You can just be the person that says you got enough at each level, peel off what you need, because you never know what the next level is. It could be the down or up, don't know, right? And then you're able to like prepare for it. And
that's very true.
The other thing I'll just mention to you too, is you guys may have been seeing, is that the HEX ratio has been going down for almost everything. Like it's losing. HEX is losing against almost everything, right? There will come a time where there will be a rotation. And the rotation will be PulseX into HEX, Pulse into HEX, Ink and HEX, whatever that ends up looking like, which will only compound the potential effects for storage of value. Because remember, that is the idea behind HEX.
Very true. I don't want to gloss over too much there, but you had the golden question there, which is, what is your game plan? What is your strategy? You got to understand that. Do we believe in the principles? Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all very DeFi native here, and we espouse those libertarian ideals of you should be able to transact anonymously pretty much anywhere in the world, permissionlessly, all that stuff. But at the same time, it's the truth is that we are taking our daily efforts of converting human energy into money that we need to survive, and then we take a little bit extra or whatever we got and we put it into investment vehicles. The point of an investment vehicle is to make it go to work for you so that you will be able to enjoy that later on in life or pass it down to your kids potentially. Part of that strategy at some point will include taking profits, and there's ways to do it smartly, and then there's ways to cheat. I'll be the bad guy here and say that, yeah, sure, if HEX gets to 50 cents, then yeah, I probably will take some small profits along the way to ensure that the investment strategy is sound. As much as we would love to see everyone
block.
I know, I'm about to get kicked off the stream. As much as we would love to see everyone lock arms and play Red Rover and say we're not freaking selling, you got to understand that at the end of the day, we technically don't owe each other anything, and that you do this for yourself and your family and your God and your country and whatever you're going for. So make sure that you have a strategy and you have goals. Lay it out clearly ahead of time, so that way when the green candles come rolling in and you're sitting there panicking, not knowing what to do because you're worried you're going to fumble this potentially $1 million bag, have it thought out ahead of time. Understand what you're going to do. I'm not saying you're a bad guy taking profits. Well, I'm not anyways. Max might kick me off the stream, but whatever.
Totally joking. I mean, I think my sentiment of like, I don't. Everyone can do whatever they want with the coins. If I wouldn't be surprised if and I hope the biggest thing that people get from HEX is making their dreams come true, however you define it, and that is totally up to you. You buy the bags, you click the buttons, you have accountability when it's up, you have accountability when it's down. Go make your dreams come true. I mean, if you're in here for a little bit, hopefully you make some good contributions. If you're here for a long time, hopefully you do the same. But you buy the product, you do what you want with the product. And as much as everyone would be like, oh, we're never selling it. It can do 500,000x. If that makes your dreams come true, cool. If you want to be here for 35 years staking, I imagine a lot of us will be. I mean, a lot of us probably have stakes that are way, way, way out, of course, especially if you're doing a lot of 5.555s. Like you can have, it doesn't have to be this like come in, extract value. It can be however you define what you want to achieve with your investment goals. And I love this product. I love that the product gives you options to do that with staking, not staking, being part of the community, watching the price go up and down. You have options here. You have products built on HEX. You have freaking HSI. I mean, you have all the calm. You have all these other products. So like, to me, that's the leg up. Yeah. Actuator. Yeah, people still building on HEX. Like that's, if you want to see true believers, this is where you find them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So to that, thank you. This is a tweet I made as well, just to riff on it for a minute. What I'd like to see happen in 2025, no predictions whatsoever, obviously, just what I'd like to see happen in some way, shape, or form. HEX, I'd love to see you do 10,000x, brother. Get in there, HEX. Get in there. Go make another 10,000x. Also, every doubter of Richard Hart to give a heartfelt apology. I would personally love to see that. I think it'd be good for the community. It'd be good for crypto as a whole if they could just say hashtag Richard Hart was right one time, just one more time. And this one I really like too. Insane, pent up, well-deserved volatility to the upside for a change. That'd be nice as well. With the HEX token, what are you all looking forward to? It could be PulseChain as well, but just primarily, this HEX Power Hour. What do you want to see happen that you think would be glorious or just positive in some way for the Hexkin, for the Hexkins? Whoever wants to take it first.
Crispy, I might have a soapbox, so please take it away before I get going.
Yeah, I'm a man of few words, so I'll just be succinct. Green candles and stronger adoption.
I like it. I think both those things are probably included in my answer, but it's kind of along the lines of what Max said there. We're talking about hopefully that people are going to give heartfelt apologies for forever doubting it and whatnot, but at least a level of mainstream adoption or recognition, let alone just hopefully getting, what was it, CoinGecko is the one, or CoinMarketCap, whichever one, delisted HEX.
Just name every centralized entity. One of them's probably Gatekeeper.
Yeah, see it actually get properly listed. People say, oh, wow, we don't understand this whole OA thing, but regardless, we'll still try to rank it as properly as we can. See slow and mainstream adoptions, see people actually acknowledge it as a legitimate crypto project, or at least as a legitimate altcoin, because theoretically it's just pretty much a store of value token. So if there's a category of those that show up, I hope that HEX is number one. I really do. Do another 10,000x. That would be amazing to see, but that comes out to about $35 for all-time high for HEX, which based on the math.
I want it.
I want it, but based on the math that
don't math me right now. Do not math me right now.
Like I've been
ride this momentum. Ride the momentum.
Hey, listen, if we get enough people who aren't interested in HEX, and we have enough people that are interested, and the ones that are interested buy the HEX and take it off the market, it could happen.
I mean, imagine the liquidity levels too of multi-dollar HEX in whatever way, whether it's 35, whether it's 10, whether it's 1, 5. I mean, we saw. I mean, what was the top liquidity when HEX was around 50 cents? Was it like 20 million? I want to say. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah. Well, and listen, I'm not advertising. I'm not advertising for the Validator X guys per se, except I'm over there using that protocol. So everybody do your own research. But they're launching some new tools too that are market making tools that everybody can use. And when those market making tools come out, where somebody applies market making tools to HEX, I mean, you could be in a situation, particularly right now, where it's an up and only, up into the right only direction, right? And there's a lot more detail into that, but I'm just saying we have the circumstances, right? We have the ability to do it. It's whether or not we have the fortitude to take it to the next level, and I recognize I'm pointing the finger at myself too, just like everybody else. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the frustrating thing about what the stuff we've been through in the community and the macros and the downside and all that is we have all these tools. We have plenty of great community projects. We have plenty of people building on HEX. We have plenty of people who are fully aligned to make this, I make this play again. It goes up and down these days, but plenty of people who are fully aligned to make sure this place survives and thrives. We just haven't had that, again, money come in, retail adoption. We haven't had the ability, our ability to onboard has become harder in certain ways. We've had to shift strategies and every few weeks. It's like, it's just been an uphill battle in so many ways. Yet we're like, no, I don't.
Well, most,
probably
let's do it. probably a lot of people listen to you. They're okay with HEX, right? They're thinking about it. They like it. You know, they may not be all into it. But, dude, most people I'm talking to about HEX, not the ones that tune in, but just like off on this, they're not interested, which is bullish as hell. I mean, you know, I want the adoption and everything else, but the fact that they're not interested just means they're going to miss the opportunity, which means they're going to chase the green candles and see where that goes, you know? So yeah, I see that as being the case. And then UFO to go, because we'll probably close there in a minute. You're asking about Deci and Maxi and all the rest. Yeah, dude, dudette. The value of those derivatives just increased like tenfold in my mind, right? Like, yeah, I know that the market's not following up, but I mean, like the Deci, in particular, such a discount, man. It's such a discount. It's going to make, and has already made so many rewards that it just pales in comparison to do it yourself, you know? So anyway, but not financial advice. Go do the research, go look.
Agreed. I'm personally a big fan of the, what do we call those? The Maximus DAO tokens, all the other ones, collective staking tokens.
Yeah, peripherals, whatever.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
You sound like a maxi.
Derivatives.
You don't say.
I don't know, dude. Are there any maxis left? Doesn't even mean anything anymore. Even the founder is not a maxi. So
yeah, that's very true, actually. But the reason I like those tokens is that
come at me, bro. Come at.
That's true. There's use cases on both sides of those tokens, which is that if you did not get into the initial stake, you can still purchase those tokens, and it's kind of like you pretty much did. Also, at the same time, if you are one of the people that did get in on the original setting up of those tokens, you have additional value built into them, which is the amount of time that has been spent in the protocols, building and cultivating and developing. So those things have value on their own outside of just the HEX appreciation and the HEX staking itself. So there's use cases for those things each way you go. Whether you're just someone like me who originally got in because I was like, dang, these Ethereum staking fees are way too high for me. I'm just a little guy, can't be paying $5,000 in Ethereum fees for end stake fees. So this stuff was very enticing. I know. We got to get those up.
There was a time where Ethereum fees were very high, and that was another narrative that we could punch through the noise with. However, up and down. Last thing here before we wrap up, I just want to mention, I came across this, so it cracked me up. Made him way too fat. I'm pretty sure when he comes back, he's not going to be that fat. Pretty sure. I'm going to go on a limb there. But the Scivive, one had me too. Cracked me up.
No fat shaming. I'm not fat shaming him, but I would buy this if it was actually available.
Somebody may make your dreams come true. This may be
make my dream come true, because I want this. I'll keep that as, and you can make different versions of them. It'd be fine. I mean, you know, my granddaughter has like 30 Barbies, right? I can have 30 Richard Harts.
Yeah, get different Richard Hart action figures, the different Rolexes and Gucci bags or whatever.
I could have 14 Pulse Heart. I could have all sorts of hearts, man. So I could do all sorts.
Ledger would probably be pretty happy if they thought someone had 140,000 Ethereum on their, or 170,000 Ethereum on their keypad there. They'd be pretty happy if they knew that was the case. Obviously, probably not. But yeah, funny all the accessories, we have with this Richard Hart action figure. Just make him put him in a bodybuilding suit. He's got some other pictures but the track suit, it is legendary. I'll say that. Zenith, what do you got for us to wrap up here?
I have just a quick TA and a little tidbit of information that was from my team that I would like to share with the good people out there. So coming from our very own Agent J over the DGen Roundtable, he is a big Fibonacci retracement guy. And in particular, he always looks at the 886 level. That is always his validation or invalidation target for price movement or trends in either direction. And for HEX, unfortunately, we did hit the 886 towards the downside. So this is a Fibonacci retracement pulled from the all-time low or most recent low to our swing high, which is up here at about 3.2, 3.1 cents. And yeah, so because we broke through that 886 level, it is an indicator that price is probably going to move towards the downside. Jay has been very, very correct on these things, so I happen to believe the guy. So personally, I am unfortunately looking for HEX to make a new all-time low on PulseChain anyways. So looking at sub 3.5 tenths of a penny, that's the next target that I'm looking at, and maybe a little else below that. So the good news is, if you're a person that is looking to scoop up a little more HEX because you like the fundamentals and you like what's going on here, there should be some very, very good buying opportunities coming into the market here soon, if not already existing. So That is being said. Additionally, based
God,
on the
you made that
analysis,
sound positive.
Yeah,
yeah, I know. I said prices go time low. This is good news, right?
I mean, at this point, my body's ready.
Well, keep in mind too, it doesn't reflect the TA doesn't reflect the change in liquidity, and so I think it's even more possible for it to come lower, right? Because listen, this is not what I want for my prices, but if I want more people out, I need them to sell. And that means price is going to go down with sell pressure, unless liquidity means it goes down even further. What if some jack decides he's going to go try to sell, 500,000 HEX, 500,000 worth of HEX? That's going to happen. Price go down. Just going to have that bottom. But there are plenty of us that are super interested in HEX, that would just pick that up.
True. I mean, I hope whether it's here or it goes down further, that whoever buys it gets the maddest of the maddest of the maddest of gains for making such a choice that I hope turns out to be a wise one.
Definitely.
Well, damn, if it went down that far, a million HEX ain't that much.
And it's
still a lot of money for a lot of people, but it's still pretty cheap.
Like $4,000 right now. So if it gets lower, it's not too shabby at all. But outside of that, though, folks, if you're feeling bad, just remember we're not the only ones. The entire market right now is in extreme fear. This is, I'm sure, going to update once we get our daily close here in about 51 minutes. And I have a feeling it's probably going to go even lower. So if you feel like you're alone in the HEX eco space, you're not, by the way. And
there's less downside.
Yeah. True. And a final note, because someone was asking about it earlier in the chat. They were saying the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is broken. Everything's going to zero. No, it's not. Like, we're still looking pretty good here. So Bitcoin on the weekly, cycle still looks rather intact to me. The invalidation case would be would be a lot lower, especially if you're considering just the entirety of the run here. But even on something like this, we're looking at somewhere around 61,000. If we break below 60,000 Bitcoin, I will be willing to start having the conversation that the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is over. But until then, we're still good. We're still good, baby.
Okay. I like it. In summary, be a hexacan, not a hexacant. I hope those are wise words. I hope we look back on this, though. Look at those. Remember when things sucked sometimes? And now look at how rich we are, or how richer we are. Remember that? That's what I want back on.
Richard Hart stated the goal was to make 1 million millionaires. So we're still alive.
We'll go for that. Hey, and this is meant to be a very straightforward question. I don't know the answer to this. How do you hyphenate Hexacan and Mexican? This was a question from my wife. Are you just a Mexican hexagon?
Word.
Yeah, it's just one word. I don't think there's a hyphen. I mean, I guess with hexacant, you could do a hyphen if you wanted to. Yeah, good question. But yeah, I think we solved it. That was a quick one, easy one.
I'm waiting for the new zone, man, hexagon zone. So let's go. The
libertarian floating island Hexaco zone. Yeah, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that invite as well. Zenith.
That's right. We found a use for all that plastic in the ocean. Our own island. We're ready. Let's go.
You can only board.
Yeah, we can either go private island shopping, or we can adopt the Chinese South China Sea strategy and just start building islands effectively. So
they do build islands these days. That's true. Yeah. I mean, if I saw a tweet from Richard saying he's going to go build some islands, I'd be all right, cool. Let's go. Let's do it. You got to have to get on the island. You got to have proof of 5555 POFFF or 5555. So throw that out there, gents. Let's wrap this up. We are at an hour. What do you got? What do you want to take us out on, Zenith? Where can people find you? What do you want to take us out on?
Max, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, man. Folks, you can find me over on Twitter at ZenithDI, same as Instagram. And then I'm actually streaming in a little less than an hour over on the Walk the Block channel. That is where we try to keep things simplified so that even your grandma can watch, but try to go deep enough so that we keep all of us engaged and interested. Outside of that, though, DJ and Roundtable, that's me. That's my team. They do a lot of great work over there. We got a Telegram. If you want to ask questions, share memes, that's where you can do all of that over there. Feel free to @us anytime.
Boom. Appreciate it. Crispy, man.
Got nothing for you, man.
You
come check me out at HexFire.io. That's it. I got nothing else.
He got a website. He's got a social media. He's got a
HexFire.io. Yeah,
he's up there streaming, doing the hex updates. He's making a contribution to this community. We appreciate Crispy and Zenith as well.
Much appreciated, my man.
Thank you, Zenith. Thank you for inviting me there, Max.
Of course. Won't be the last time, I certainly hope. And maybe we'll even share some green candles at some point. God, that would be a sight to see.
They're coming. The green candles are coming.
I think we should all become Mexican hexagons.
Mexican. All three of us have the power to inspire other people. So I think
we're trying.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today. Scivive 5555. We are